Excuse me. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Deirdre Joyner, our Deputy Superintendent and Chief Academic Officer. She will welcome everyone to our Zoom tonight. Dr. Joyner.
Good evening, CSD families and community. Welcome to our community forum, where we are going to spend some time talking about the 2022-23 school year calendar and a little student manual, right, Dr. Moody? Right, so I'm going to introduce my team before I move any further. That was a great segue to Dr. Moody, who is our Director of Student Services. She's part of our calendar team and Director of Student Services that's in charge of our student manual. So thank you for joining tonight, Dr. Moody. We have Miss Kim Blevins. Mrs. Blevins is the amazing kindergarten teacher from McVeigh Elementary School. And we have Mrs. Becky Ryan, who is our Director of Special Services in the Christina School District. So we are your stewards of the calendar and student manual, and we're excited to spend a little time with you today. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. That music would come in handy right about now. All right. So the title is called Planning Ahead for Care and Success. And you know, we added this title this year because we want our calendar to be a tool, not a hindrance to our families or to our work, but we want it to be a tool. So we took what we believe is good care and to create or to promote success for everyone who is going to be a user of our calendar. So we're going to present two calendars to you this evening. We also want to make note of a couple of important points. This year, we had the opportunity to start school after Labor Day. So we have now started school before Labor Day and after Labor Day. We really want your feedback on that because this year, whichever calendar we choose before or after Labor Day will be our choice for the foreseeable future. So if we decide before Labor Day this year, we're going to continue with that for the foreseeable future, and the same goes for after Labor Day. You will also have an opportunity to give us feedback through a feedback form that's going to be posted on our website after this presentation until March 2nd. Okay, next slide. All right. So a little bit of calendar requirements, the holidays that we will observe. We have the state holidays, which are on the left of my screen. And these are where schools and offices are closed. Then we have the little green box where schools are closed, but the office is opened. And this year, we also have a state primary election day in September. So that's going to be a day, but our 10-month staff will still work. And then our Jewish holidays that we have been observing in our district. We also aim to continue to diversify the holidays that we observe. For example, when celebrated on a school day, we will start to celebrate the Muslim holiday that they call Eid, and it will be considered as a holiday for our calendar in the 2023-24 school year, because this year it falls on a Sunday. All right, so with that said, let's go to our next slide. All right, so there are some calendar specifics we wanted to cover. First of all, students in grades K through 11 must do 1,060 hours of time in school. 12th graders need to do 1,032 hours. So you see, We count days for staff, but we count hours for kids. And that's very, very important to note. I'll say that again. K through 11, kindergarten through 11 needs 1,060 hours. Our 12th graders need 1,032 hours. So a full student day is 6.5 hours because we do take out lunch. When you multiply 6.5 times so many days, you get so many hours that kids are in school. So our kids will be in school for 1,092 hours. That is equivalent to 4.9 extra days that we can use for snow and other days that don't need to be made up. For teachers, they must work 188 days, and our paraprofessionals must work 185 days. So those are what our teachers and staff will be doing when kids are not in school. Next slide, please. I'm going to pass the baton to Mrs. Blevins, who is going to walk you through our before Labor Day calendar and highlight some of those days off and what our school year would look like. Now, remember, you will have access to this calendar and a feedback form on our website after our presentation. Mrs. Blevins.
Good evening, everyone. How are you today? Mrs. Mobley, if you want to click on the before. All right, and we can move to August. All right, so if we start before Labor Day, the teachers will start on the 22nd of August. Students K to 12 will start on the 29th, Monday the 29th, and that would be orientation day for kindergarten. And our 6th grade students and our 9th grade students would attend, and then everyone officially would attend on the 30th. We would then have off, if you want to move to September, we would then have off Friday, September 2nd and Monday, September 5th for Labor Day. Then on the 13th of September, schools will be closed for students, teachers will be in, and then there's also another day in September. If you slide down, September the 20th, yes, the 26th is Rosh Hashanah. So that would also be off for the students. And then in October, we have Wednesday, the 5th, schools would be closed. And then the 14th of October is a statewide PD day for all staff, so schools would be closed. And then we come to the month of November. And November is a fun month because we have Election Day, we have Veterans Day, and we have the Thanksgiving holiday. So the marking period, first marking period would end on the first Friday of the month. The 7th of November, which is a Monday, we would have grading day for the teachers. Election Day, all buildings will be closed for elections. The 11th, which is Friday, schools and offices will be closed for everyone as well. The students would come to school on on Wednesday and Thursday of that week. Then parent and teacher conferences would be on Monday the 21st and Tuesday the 22nd. So the entire week of Thanksgiving, there would be no school for the students. And then December, we would go all the way until the 21st of December. And then students would be off the 22nd and 23rd, and the holidays will begin. And then we don't come back until January 3rd, I think. We don't come back until Tuesday, January the 3rd. Then schools and offices are closed for Monday, the 16th of January for Martin Luther King Day. We would have off on the 27th. And then we would have a professional development day on the 30th. And then we hit February, and we would have parent-teacher conferences on Monday the 13th, which is the Monday after Super Bowl. And then there would be a 3-day weekend, and the children and would be off, as well as teachers. Schools and offices are closed for President's Day on the 20th. And then in March, we have off a professional development day on Friday, the 10th. And then we have off a grading day on the 31st of March. And then we hit spring break in April. It's right at the beginning of April next year. So we would have off from the 7th all the way through. The kids would come back to school on the 17th. And then in May, we have off for a professional development day on the 26th, which is the Friday before Memorial Day, and schools and offices would be closed on the 29th for Memorial Day. And then we reach June, and the children would be off on the 9th for a grading day, and their last day of school would be Monday, June the 12th. Hoping that we don't use any snow days and have to make up more than 4 of them. So that would be what our calendar would look like if we started before Labor Day. And remember, as Dr. Joyner said, whatever decision we choose this year will be what we will continue to do in years forthcoming.
Thank you, Mrs. Blevins. I also think it's a good idea to mention how that grading day is on Friday and the kids come one more day that Monday. We have received questions about that, and that's about that 1,060 hours. They have to get those hours in and the extras so that there is no makeup time for snow days and things like that. Okay, so Mrs. Ryan is going to review the after Labor Day calendar for us.
Just one thing before Ms. Ryan begin, Dr. Joyner, I do have one question in the Q&A. Are we going to do those at the end?
Yes, ma'am. Let's do them at the end. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
I think Miss Mobley has the hard job of toggling, and Mrs. Blevins did a lovely job. And so I don't have a lot to share because she really explained so much. So thank you both for that. But if you can pull up the after Labor Day calendar, if you'll jump to August again. So obviously the biggest difference is going to be in August and then again at June. In August, if we were to begin after Labor Day, as you can see here, new teacher PD would start the week of the 22nd. However, our teachers wouldn't begin their professional development and their classroom setup until August 29th. So the teachers would set up their classrooms, then they would have some PD days on the 30th, the 31st, and into September. As you can see, again, just like Mrs. Blevins had mentioned, Friday, September 2nd, our schools would be closed, and the 5th, that's for the Labor Day holiday. And then our students would begin on the 6th. So again, that's the biggest difference right off the bat, is the kids come after Labor Day. And much like Mrs. Blevins mentioned, the 6th would be your kindergarten orientation, your 6th graders would come, your 9th graders would come, and then all of the students would begin on the 7th. Again, we have that primary election day, and again, we have Rosh Hashanah. Those days don't change, so they would remain the same. If we move to October, again, Yom Kippur, schools are closed. We also have the state PD day. And then moving to November, one of the differences that you'll notice is the first marking period. When the day, November 4th, remains the same. However, in the before calendar, the students are in school for 44 days before the marking period ends, whereas with the after calendar, the students are in school for 40 days when it ends. The other days are made up at the end. The marking periods in the middle are the same. Again, we have that little bit of choppy November because of the election day, because of Veterans Day, but the days themselves would remain the same. So again, that Monday would be a grading day, and the Monday and Tuesday before the Thanksgiving break, we would have our parent conferences. Looking to December, looks exactly like the before calendar. We would have some nice solid weeks of school, and the students would come to school all the way through December 21st, and the 22nd would be a PD day. So the students begin their Christmas break or their holiday, and they would return to school on January 3rd. Again, at the end of the month, we have that grading day. There's the end of the marking period, so that's the same. So that second marking period is going to be 42 days, no matter if we start before or after Labor Day. And then we would have a grading day. Those are in our calendar so that our teachers have the opportunity to do just what it says, do their grades and prepare report cards at the end of each marking period. So we have that grading day and we have a PD day. And then moving into February, again, the parent-teacher conference day that we have in February, that's always important, especially for any students who are struggling. We want to make sure that we talk to parents, mid-year. And then we have the President's Day holiday. That's it for February. March, again, we have the PD day. And then at the end of the month, we have that grading day. So another marking period closes. That's on the 30th. So then we have the grading day on the 31st for the teachers, do that grading. April looks exactly like Mrs. Blevins had mentioned with our spring break. May, moving into May. Again, gonna look very similar, some nice solid weeks of school there. There's a PD day surrounding the Memorial Day holiday. And then finally coming into June, this is the other big difference. If we were to begin school after Labor Day, that fourth marking period is going to be a little bit longer. So that's 45 days. Our last student day in this case would be June 15th, with the grading day of the 16th, again, so the teachers can prepare the report cards. In this case, we have the Juneteenth holiday, and our teachers and paras would come back on the 20th, and then our teachers would work for a PD day on the 21st. So a little bit longer. We start later and we would go a little bit later. So those are the highlights of the after calendar.
Thank you, Mrs. Ryan. So you've seen that overview of both calendars. Remember, you will be able to access this as soon as it's posted to our website. And if you'll go to our next slide, Mrs. Mobley, you will also see a feedback form, a calendar feedback form, where you would just simply click that form. And if you don't mind clicking it, Mrs. Mobley, that would be great. And it asks you to identify your role. You would scroll down from some of the language at the top. Let us know that you are a parent, guardian, or community member. You would tell us which calendar schedule you prefer. You would tell us if you recommend any changes, and then you would state those changes. Your name and email address will be optional. And then simply hit submit on the form, and we will collect your feedback and share it with our calendar committee. The plan is to take the final calendar to our board for a first read at the March 8th board meeting. Thank you for that, Mrs. Mobley. We can go to the next slide, where we would be remiss if we did not thank the dedicated calendar committee for all their work and time and effort. There are their names there. A great thank you and loads of appreciation to this team. So that is our calendar presentation for the day. Let's look at questions now, and then we can pivot to the student manual.
Okay, Dr. Joyner, our first question tonight. Are there some rules for how many PD days are required and how they need to be distributed?
So the teachers have to be in school for 188 days. So when you subtract when the kids are done, which is their 1,060 hours, you usually end up with a good, Mrs. Ryan, 16, 18, maybe 20 days in there, right?
Got it. Yeah,
20
so
days.
that's exactly it. It generally is about 18-ish days. And we, as a committee, what we do is we look at those extra days and we take out the conference days, we take out those grading days, the state PD day, and then those remaining days, we really try to spread throughout the school year so that we can scatter that professional development for our staff.
Thank you.
All right, our next question. Why can't we switch the last day of school for students with the teacher's grading day in June in the before Labor Day version?
I can visualize that calendar because I see it so often. And what we'd have to do is just make sure those kids have done our 1,060 hours. So what that is about, that would really cut that amount of hours and cut any bank time. So any snow day, any bus driver strike, anything that any of those dilemmas we encountered this year and in the past would actually have our kids making up days, which we're trying to plan for. Mrs. Blevins, were you gonna say something?
And I think the question, and I could be wrong, Ms. Huntley, but I think the question is, we have the grading day on the Friday and the kids come back on the Monday. And I think the question is, why couldn't the grading day be on Monday and the kids' last day be on Friday? And that is because of the teacher contract on the number of days that we have to have from the grading day to the last teacher day. If that made sense. Did I explain that?
That's also another factor.
Yeah, you said it. And the reason it's a little bit different on that after calendar is because of the Juneteenth holiday. Right, so there's more days in between because of that Juneteenth holiday.
I actually remember that question from last year as well. It is, we do know that for families that have to plan to come back on a Monday or even to a Tuesday is a short week, but we do have to make sure we get all of those hours in and meet the teacher contract for the grading days.
So there's a question that just popped up. I'll jump in there and take it.
Thank you.
It's a pre-K question. The question is, good evening, what's the pre-K summer school schedule? And so summer school is right now, it's an IEP team decision. So if your child is eligible for extended school year, your IEP team would be in touch with you and provide that schedule for you. In general, school starts for students on June 28th and would go through July 28th or August 4th. It depends again on your students' IEP needs and their classification. It's a little bit different. Some students are entitled to the full day. Some students are entitled to a half day. So be in touch with your students' IEP team and they can answer your questions for you. And if all else fails, I'm the special services director and I'd be happy to help you. Reach out.
So awesome to have a diversified team. Thank you guys. And one last thing I would mention is the feedback is due March 3rd, so we can get that draft finalized into the board by March 8th. That is our calendar presentation. It looks like we are done with all the questions. We certainly will hang around here and continue to answer them. So we'll slide into student manual updates.
Okay.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to add, I'm sorry, Dr. Mead, is this information, we will send this out to our community, a link to the calendar feedback form, just in case you're not capturing that information tonight. We're going to make sure that you all get it via email, and it will be on our website. You guys are watching me work. Let's see. 1 second here. Okay.
That's again where that music would come in handy right about now. We get to see all Ella's files.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's always exciting to see the calendar up close, and everyone's done a great job. So I thank Dr. Joyner and everyone who participated. So I'm Gina Moody, and my job tonight is to give you some information about the student manual. We will take a look at what is currently in our manual for this year, and then you will also have an opportunity to give feedback. In this instance, we will have a team look at the feedback and then compile the changes and recommend those changes to our board. And we are looking to do that, that first read in the month of April. So that is what we're going to do tonight. Look at what's currently in the student manual, just a snapshot. And then we'd like to hear some input from you. Next slide, please. So first, we have the link that we can go right onto our website to get the student manual, and it's right and can be found in the parent resources as well as the student resources, or under the student services department. You can find the link there, and it's easily accessible on any electronic device. So on your phone, tablet, or computer. And then you can reach out and ask any questions if you don't understand something. Next slide, please. This year, this is an example of what the student manual looks like currently. This is the front cover. And we will continue to showcase artwork from our students and our scholars across multiple grade levels, not just elementary or middle, but high, and then just whether it's 3D or 2D drawings. So we kind of want to just showcase what are the talents for our students. Changing. We have a couple of examples of what those pictures look like. If you just show the next slide, and just the array of talents that our students have. So there's clay, where there's a kiln in the school, as well as some other creative drawings. So we do take that opportunity because our student manual is just that. It's not just about behaviors, it's also a resource. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So what we would like as a district to do is we want our schools and our remote learning spaces, we want our students to be excited about learning. We want them to be engaged. We also want our families to feel as though we, the educators, those with whom you entrust your students every day, also are there to support them, and that we too want your child to achieve their personal best. And that is what we hope that you will be able to do or get from us and from our student manual. The next slide, please. We also want to make sure that all students are treated fairly, as well as adults making learning spaces positive experiences for students. So it doesn't just talk about the child. We also want to make sure we address the adults, and as we build our community of learners together. The next slide, please. We would also like students to learn new skills, be encouraged, and make good choices. So what it looks like in the classroom, and also in those non-instructional spaces, how we engage together, not just with the academics, but with the social skills, the social aspects of school, and all the extracurriculars. We also want to help students learn strategies that will improve behaviors, maintain good behaviors as we focus on the whole child in our schools. Next slide, please. So remember I said the student manual is not just about the code of conduct and how we behave. This manual, we want you to become familiar with it, has a lot of good resources that are listed there, such as the school calendar that Dr. Joyner and the team just referenced. When that is finalized, that calendar will go into the student manual. So you don't have to look for the manual and then look for something. We try to put everything in one space, either electronically or a tangible booklet that you can just use as a reference guide. Also talks about what your rights are. It talks about what the student's responsibilities are. We get into behaviors, appropriate behaviors, how we address behaviors, bus safety, whether we're at the bus stop, on the bus, getting off the bus, at a field trip, an athletic event, community resources. Many times families and guardians and parents ask us, where can I go for? Where can I get help with? So we endeavor to list those community resources inside of our student manual. Next slide, please. And another way that it can work for you as a family is know what actions and interventions are going to take place. If there are some students who are exhibiting some challenging behaviors or things that are unsafe, we want to know how can we help your child. And a lot of that comes through the conversation with families, because sometimes we have to sit and make a plan, or we may just need to know what's happening in students' lives that we can address and talk to them differently, that's unique to their individual needs. We also want you to know what your child's rights and privileges are, and also understand the disciplinary process. How do you get help from us? How do you have certain concerns with the behaviors? What are the processes? And what resources are there for you and your child? Next slide, please. And I talked about social emotional learning, and it's not just about do this, don't do that. We want to understand what it is that the student needs. And so as we become a community of learners who focus on social and emotional learning, we go to a research-based framework through CASEL, and CASEL is written there, stands for the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. So it's not just about math, even though anyone who knows me knows that I wish it was all about math, but it's not just about math and reading and social studies and science. It's also about how we socialize and what emotions are engaged or involved when we are trying to engage with our learning. And those 5 pillars there are what we try to and what we endeavor to teach our students, and not just our students, but we as adults also. How we become self-aware, how we manage ourselves, how we are aware of our social surroundings, relationship skills, and then responsible decision-making. Seems like things that are automatic, but sometimes we have to highlight and call them out to make sure that we are hitting on all of those pillars when we are engaging our students in academics and non-academic activities. Next slide, please. So our goal is to implement proactive strategies for students. What is the tone? How do we set the tone across the entire classroom? If I can just highlight Mrs. Blevins, and Dr. Joyner said that she's an awesome kindergarten teacher. You go in there from day one, she kind of says, this is how we will act as a community of learners. What do you think about this? What do we do if there's a problem, how can we solve it? She has those conversations with her babies in the classroom and kind of sets that tone. And when something goes off track a little bit, sometimes teachers come back together. Let's have a circle. What happened? What could we have done differently? So we want to be really proactive so that we can quell any potential behaviors that are harmful to an individual, others, or to the educational environment in general. So we also want to teach those behaviors. Remember, you go in a class, in a hallway, if you've ever been in an elementary school, they walk on one side of the hallway, because that is what we just teach, that this is how we transition from one activity to another. Sometimes we have students who engage in school-based services. We have students at all grade levels that say that, yes, I would like to speak to a counselor. Yes, I would like to meet with the social worker. Yes, I would like to meet with the behavioral health consultant. Yes, I would like someone to check in and check out with me just to make sure I'm cool, just to make sure I'm okay, and have a safe place to go to if I'm not. So those are the types of proactive strategies that we implement and would like to continue. Next slide, please. So in our manual, I talked about bus safety. So we have these 4 areas at the bus stop, when the bus arrives, when you get on the bus, when you get off the bus. There's a way that we have to maneuver to make sure everyone is safe. And that appropriate behavior is listed in the manual. And this is why when we get the manual at the beginning of the year, online or in hand, we ask families to kind of have these conversations with students just to make sure we're all on the same page about how to engage at certain places in school. Next slide, please. And then we have a matrix that says, if this happens, then this can happen. If that happens, then this can happen. So again, reviewing this. And there are different responses based off of the grade level. So here we have responses for grades kindergarten through 5, and then responses for secondary students in grades 6 through 12. Next slide, please. And continuing with our matrices, this one is a matrix of strategies, interventions, and responses for students kindergarten through 2nd. So there are different steps that we take. So again, we have those proactive strategies. And then if things continue to happen, then we have to put some supports in place. And then there are some other responses that we have for offenses that may be a little bit more severe and serious. Next slide, please. The same thing for grades 3 to 5. And this is what you can currently view. And then next slide, please. Same thing for grades 6 through 12. Okay, so when you read through these, and one of the things that I ask for feedback is if there's something that you have a question about or you think should be changed, there's a page number that's referenced. For instance, this matrix came from page 17. You may say, look at page 17. I have a question about the response for this particular behavior. And that's what you can put on the feedback form. Next slide, please. That resource, right? I tell the students all the time, we love you, but we don't want you to stay here. We really want you to matriculate into high school, accrue the appropriate amount of credits so that you can graduate and go on to bigger and better things post-graduation, whether you're going to college or career or the military. And this manual has in there the number of credits that students need to graduate, and that the right credits have to be in the right areas. And then a home access center. I, as a parent, have it on my phone. I'm in the home access center. I'm checking a behavior. I'm checking attendance, grades, making sure that my contact information is correct and up to date. And that is what the home access center is for. It's a great resource that you can use to communicate and make sure that everything is up to date for your child. Next slide, please. And so just as we said with the calendar, our public information office will upload the Christina Student Manual feedback form. It's a Google form. Again, it will have a link to the student manual directly on the form. It'll have a link for English and Spanish. And then you can enter your input and your feedback at that time. And these will be collected through March 10th. So the calendar is through March 3rd. The feedback form for the manual is through March 10th, just a week later. And then the last slide is just my contact information, which is also included in the manual. And that concludes our student manual presentation for this evening.
So right before we begin asking the questions to our team, I want to remind everyone to please put your questions in the Q&A section of the meeting tonight so that we can make sure we capture all of the questions tonight. All right, our first question. Oops, where'd it go?
I believe I just answered it about the high
Oh.
school uniforms.
Okay,
There are
great.
no uniforms at Christina School District high schools.
Okay. That might have been. So again, to our community that's joined us tonight, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in our Q&A chat. Again, you will have the opportunity to provide feedback via our form that we're going to send out to all of our parents tomorrow. We'll send out the calendar form and a link to the form, as well as the one for the student manual. So if you're not comfortable asking tonight, feel free to provide feedback in the form.
Right. Everything will be posted until March 2nd. And we see board member Alethea Smith Tucker is on with us this evening. She had a question and also about how many participants were here, and we were up to 67. So this is a great crowd. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us, Mrs. Smith Tucker. We also see some of our principals and other CSD community on the line. It's just so awesome to see how we all connect and come together. I love this, love every bit of it. So, Mrs. Mobley, you want to tell folks where they might find the calendar on the website, or will it be in a spot that's really prominent, like where they can pops right out to them?
Right. Thank you, Dr. Joyner. So if you go to our Christina School District website, I'm not able to view it right now while we're in the meeting, but we will have a really easy soft key there for you guys to click on our homepage. So we're going to have our webmaster move it someplace up top, up front, that will be on our homepage. The presentation will be available and links so that you can provide feedback for our calendar and for our student manual. But we will make sure it's easily found. In addition, I will personally send an email tomorrow to our parents and students and community, providing you information where the link is and how to complete the forms.
Thank you, Mrs. Mobley. I think that would be great for everyone. There is one more new question in the chat. Becky, would you like to take this one? Mrs. Ryan says you'll answer this question live.
Oh, I hit the wrong one, but that's okay.
Oh.
It's specific to a bus. So
Okay.
I would need to know some more information. If that particular person can email me, I'm happy to follow up because the buses service different schools. So it would depend on which run we're talking about. So I am Rebecca Ryan. We are rebecca.ryan@christina.k12.de.us. And I think Miss Mobley's taking
She
care
might
of
be
typing that for
typing
me.
about, right, where's the bus app? That's what we can
Yes,
use now, right? You can
that's it.
download our brand new Where's the Bus app, and you can follow your bus on GPS every single morning.
That's awesome.
Mrs. Mobley, is the Where's the Bus app directions on our website still?
Yes, it is. I also included the email directly to our transportation department.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Get a direct response for, I know Ms. Ryan is happy to help you with that, but our transportation team will be available for you as well. Our Where's Bus app is an excellent app we have so that you'll know where the bus is, if it hasn't arrived yet, where your child bus is once they're on the bus, when will they get to their school, and it lets you know how long will be before they arrive back at home. The Where's the Bus app provides so much information. Definitely on days when there may be some, traffic patterns that may cause the bus to be delayed as well. It helps you stay tuned, especially if you're a working parent or you're concerned about, especially if there's inclement weather, when your child should be outside waiting. The app is an excellent opportunity for you to keep track of where the bus is and where your student is on the bus.
That's right. And I see a question in the other chat about, will bus runs changes be made or to capacity once the mask mandates has been removed? And actually, about a year ago, when restrictions were a little more relaxed, we had actually already gone back to almost near capacity, because the guidance had said when possible, or it had some language in there that we were able to use to move back to capacity. So we don't anticipate any changes because we're really already there. Thank you.
And we'll send information out again to sign up for Where's the Bus app, Dr. Joyner.
Okay. We're getting lots of bus questions here. Will people outside the feeder bus ranges be able to get the bus transportation next school year? So as long as there's capacity, Dr. Moody in the choice department, right? I'll let you take that one.
I think she's typing.
Oh, she's typing the answer. Great. Thank you.
That's okay. I was going to ask also for more information, because there is not, I don't think it's just that cut and dry. And so you had alluded to why it's not that cut and dry, Dr. Joyner. So it depends on the school, where you live. Are you a choice student? Are you not a choice student? So those are the things that we would have to ask and take into consideration. And also, at this point, we are not at that, we're not at that point to talk about that information. I'm sorry, the next question that just popped up, I'm trying to do two things at once, about lifting a mask mandate. That's not what we're discussing this evening, because it is not the appropriate time as far as decisions or have been made or have not been made at this time. So
we're waiting for the guidance from DPH.
Guidance from
As soon as we
DPH.
get that, we will be making decisions for our district. And our health and wellness committee will vet some information, and then there will most likely be a presentation at the board meeting. And so we're waiting for the guidance, and we hope to have that soon. For now, masks are still required in schools until March 31st. We do thank you for joining us tonight. We're really excited that we've been doubling our numbers each time we get together, and it's just so great to spend time with you.
thank you for being here.
Yes. All of us can be reached at the website by just clicking on our names. The quick email can get you right to us. Phone calls. We're here to support you, and it's just a pleasure to serve. So I'll turn it back over to Mrs. Mobley, and you can take us home. Thank you, everyone.
Right. So on behalf of Christina School District, we'd like to thank you all for joining us here tonight to learn more about our upcoming school calendar and to give you an opportunity to provide feedback, because we want to make sure that your voice is heard as we plan for our next school year. And thank you for participating and finding out what's new in our student manual and what should be included. So again, you can contact us. You can find out more about Christina at www.christinak12.org. Thanks again for participating, and you all have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.